This is the Amy Edwards Show, and I'm your host, Amy. This show is here to help all of us live our best life and feel amazing at absolutely every age. We focus on transformation and empowerment through practical tools, strategies, habits, and mindset shifts that will help you unlock your potential, build self-love, and embrace your unique journey. We'll cover everything from health and wellness to personal growth and spirituality with inspiring guests and real conversations. So if you are ready to level up, break out of your comfort zone, and make lasting changes, you're in the right place. It's never too late. In fact, some of your best days haven't even happened yet. Let's get to it. Love this moment and make the next one even shinier. Hello, and welcome to the Amy Edwards Show. I'm your host, Amy Edwards, and we are here to up-level our lives to our next best version, whatever that looks like, and love ourselves in the process. So I'm so excited you're here because we're getting some master coaching today with the master himself. So join me in welcoming Coach Ajit. I am so excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here, Amy.
Yeah, and in person too, because we're like neighbors practically.
Yes.
So yes.
15 minutes away. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
You are a speaker, an author, podcast host of Master Coaching with Ajit. You are the former CEO of Mindvalley, the current co-founder of Mindvalley Coach, Dharma Coaching Institute as well. You help over 30,000 clients annually.
Yeah.
That's nuts right there. You are a first generation immigrant. You are a husband. You're beautiful, darling, smart, every word I can think of, awesome wife. Neetha has been on the show. You're a dad and a fellow Austinite, as we mentioned, and a hat lover. You love a good hat. And you are on a mission to make the world more awesome. So, I mean, I'm right there with you. Me too. I'm using my voice to just do my part to help make the world more awesome all the time. So thank you for all you do. And I'm really excited to sit down with you today.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to talk to you too.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. It's been just a busy day. It's one of those days, organization. It's a Friday that we're talking, and usually Fridays are my off days. I actually don't do anything on Fridays.
Nice.
I keep it open. And so it was just organization day all day. So literally just rushing out to you to do this podcast. Otherwise, usually I would just be office writing and organizing. Yeah.
Nice. Friday's my favorite day.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just like, I feel like I get stuff done, but also it's like free and good,
Yeah.
And I like that you mentioned organization because we're going to talk some about how to organize your mind. And I'm an organization kind of junkie. I really love it. I'm a Virgo and...
Oh, I'm a Virgo too.
You are? When's your birthday?
29th August.
26th.
Oh.
That is interesting. Yeah. I love it. And it's so funny today. I was like organizing something and I was thinking, man, maybe I should just become a professional organizer. Maybe I missed my true calling. But I don't even really understand what it means to organize your mind. Like, tell me how you would define that and what it looks like for you.
Absolutely. So if you would observe, and you would observe, or you might have observed with friends, family, clients, however that is, that we live in a default program state, right? And the default program state is often influenced by something that happened a while ago.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be childhood. It could be adulthood. There is a friend did something, you made up a meaning, and you said that's the truth of life, right? Or some version of that has happened. Maybe you invested in something, you lost money, and you believe, don't invest in stuff. There's a relationship that went bad. You made up a story about relationships don't go well for me.
Totally.
Somebody had a divorce. They think I cannot be loved, and so on and so forth. There's different stories we build along our journey of life. And usually we start operating from those thought patterns that we have kind of accepted to be the truth of life. The funny thing about life is there is no truth of life. Give it enough time and it is proven otherwise. Give it enough data and it's proven otherwise. Most of the things, if not all of the things. And that's what organizing your mind is all about. Organizing your mind is all about saying, whatever I'm choosing to think right now, is this a choice I'm making or it's a default? Mm-hmm. And if this is a default, is it the right default for what I want to pursue next? Let's say, for example, somebody comes in and says, hey, listen, I want to make a lot more money than I'm making right now. Okay, you want to make a lot more money right now, right? What's your default? Your default is, my default was get a job, get a stable job and, create safety and security because that's what my family taught me, let's say, or what my parents did. And so that's what I want to do. That's what I want to hold on to. Well, it would be really hard for you to make a lot more money if you are choosing to be only in stable jobs. If you want to make a lot more money, you have to be in jobs that are actually exponential, not marginal growth, but exponential growth, or start a business, right? Which is also very different thought process and very different agreement with yourself of saying, what do I believe about money, or what do I believe about how to earn money, right? You can become a millionaire in a stable job. It'll take you 30 years. You can become a millionaire in a not so stable job, progressive jobs, as I call them, and it'll take you 10, right? So you've cut short by 10 years. And if you do a business and you are able to get the business right, in 3, right? So you can cut time by changing the way you think and choosing the thoughts that are right for you. So at any given moment, every thought that you've chosen has created the life that you have. But if you're unhappy with it, or you're unsatisfied with it, or you want a different life, you have to choose a different thought. And that thought is an option for you. You're just not choosing it because you have never really inquired and saying, what's my other option, Ajit? What's my other option?
Right.
So organizing your mind is mostly about saying, if there's a thought that I'm living every day, can I have a different thought? Can I choose a different thought? Is there a different thought that is even available for me? And that's organizing your mind, because now you're organizing your mind to choose what's a better, more productive outcome. It's like when we organize, say, clothing, it's like there's a sequence that you can organize. You can organize by color, if you are a color person, or you can organize by dresses and jackets and, shorts. I don't know what was the organization system, right? But there are many ways to organize, and depending on what the outcome you want is how you would organize or choose to organize your wardrobe. And you would get the outcome that you want based on the organization you have of the wardrobe. It's the same with your mind.
It's kind of like just basically applying mindset shifts and understanding them in a more organizational way, I suppose.
Yes, because most mindsets that we have right now are not optimized for outcomes.
Damn right.
They are optimized for certainty.
And they're optimized from, well, not even optimized really. They're just from the past, right?
Yeah,
for certainty, for things that are familiar.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of Michael Singer. Do you like him?
I love his work. Yeah. I love his books. I've never listened to him. But
he has there's a good series on Audible, and he's got an analogy about that, about how old TVs, when you turn them off, it was still imprinted with like what you were watching. And that's basically what we're doing. We're just imprinted with what we've seen, and we're applying that to everything around us, which is kind of like what you're saying. Yeah. I know that you are first generation immigrant. You were raised in a family with 23 people in the house. That is wild. And so how did you do that? How did you learn this organization of your mind and step into this different mindset? Because I'm guessing the people around you did not have that.
Yes and no. So I grew up in 23 people. We were what was called a joint family. It was if every 2 people had a room. Let's just say that way. 2 people. It was okay. Yeah. It was like 10 rooms or something in total of the house. But what was the case there is in India there's which we call a joint family, which is cousins and cousin brothers and cousin uncles and cousin grandparents. Everybody lives together, and that's how kind of we grew up. And what had happened at one point is, and I only realized this later in life, is that I actually grew up, maybe not financially abundant, but intellectually and lovingly very abundant household. Because of so many people, we of course were full of love at all times because that's the only way you could survive. But intellectually, my father and my grandfather were actually really profound for most of the people around me. So my grandfather was like an elder to the community. So a lot of times he would be weirded out because we would come back home from school at like 3 p.m. And we were like, there are like 20 people at our house sitting around my grandfather talking about something. And we were not allowed in these rooms because they were talking about sensitive topics often. And we were like, what are these people doing? And when will they leave? Because as kids, you're like, there are 20 people. There's not space. Our playroom is gone at this point. And so we were like, we want these people to leave so we can play. And so we were really annoyed as we were growing up. And what I realized as I grew older is because my grandfather was seen as an elder, a lot of people would come with their life troubles with them or with their business troubles to him to get perspective in life. And because I grew up in that environment, unconsciously, I was trained to question everything. Like my father, when my mom would say, and my mom's really religious, and my mother was really religious, and she would go, you should read this text and you should follow this text. And my father would say, but you must question this text. Right? So it was always that attitude of saying, let's question things. Let's really make sure that we understand this thing instead of just agreeing because it's said so. So I defaulted to and that's a part of my personality now, is that I don't just accept because somebody states it. Or like, let's validate it if this is actually true or if it is not true. So very early on, because of that, I have a very unconventional career. The things that I've done are very unconventional. They're really fast paced for a regular traditional pathway, because of those reasons, because I question things all the time.
That's so cool. It's like a salon. It's like, a modern, I don't know, like a philosophical gathering. And that's so interesting because it's so different than what we have here.
Yeah. I mean, in some, I would say some households probably still have it where we teach people to question.
But it's not like our culture here in America necessarily. I mean, I did grow up with a father who was intellectually questioning and already a forward thinker, but so many people don't. They're in that day to day. They're in that pattern mindset. And when it goes back generations, it's tough to break. So you already had broken patterns, I think, that you didn't have as much work to do, I suppose, in breaking some generational cycles.
I would say, I mean, if you look at the rest of my family, they're still breaking the generational cycles. I think it's the perspective, and that's why organizing your mind becomes so critical, is because there's all of us have a default, but that default, how it's nurtured, often is impacted by how you receive the soil and how you receive the water. So I could put an orange seed and a mango seed in similar soil and similar water. They will produce completely different fruits, right? And it will depend on how they take that nutrition or not take that nutrition, right? That would define really the quality of the fruit that comes out. I don't even know if the same kind of soil works for both fruits. Maybe they don't, because they're probably different kind of, the one is tropical, I think, and one is not so much. So it could just completely change the dynamic based on just where the seed is. So the seed must at any given time be nurtured in a different way based on their persona as well a little bit. So like my cousins are regular people. Like they took the traditional pathway, they took the safe path, and they're very, very well taken care of by themselves, but they're nothing like my characteristics. They don't question everything, they follow everything. Not just my cousins, even my brother. And a lot of people around me were like that. So there is an element that all of us have that we have to nurture ourselves. There could be, yes, the sunshine was available for everyone. The same questioning mindset was available for everyone, but did they receive it? Right? That's what makes the difference. And how often, how quickly, and how even when they become, so what happens when we are kids? Of course, it's hard for us to really take that in because we don't understand it, right? We question, we may even doubt what we've been just told, right? Like, my parents don't really know anything, right? That's kind of the response that, especially as you get into teens,
I'm aware.
Kind of.
I have a teenager.
You're in it. They don't really know anything, right? You're like kind of questioning them for that matter, right? But there's a point where it all turns, usually around 25, 26 years old, if you get that maturity, if not definitely around 30, where you go, hold on. My parents are just human beings like me. There is no problem really here. And secondly, there's something to learn and there's something to forget from people that were right before me because they were operating from the time and space they came from, right? So after 30, if you didn't honor the seed that you were, it is not your parents' fault. That's my perspective on it. Your parents didn't do anything. After 30, I want to say even an earlier age, but definitely after 30, you're fully in control. You're out of your house probably 6-7 years at this point. You've done all the crazy stuff that you wanted to do. Now, if you decide to grow up or blame your parents, that's your decision, right? You can decide to say, I'm going to just keep blaming my parents all of my life, and that will be your programming. And no, you're not going to grow out of it, or you will still be mad at your parents when you're 55. Or you can, after 30, say, you know what? I'm going to become a grown-up now. I'm going to actually make my decision, and I'm not going to let my past programming define my current understanding of the world. Right? And that decision is what changes everybody's reality. And the ones who make that decision have a completely different mindset to the world. And because of that, they don't stop the growth. They never wonder about the growth. They're not depending on what my past was. I don't think, yes, I had the advantage of philosophically being surrounded by that reality, but there was a point and choice point that I had, and it was many different choice points that happened. And coincidentally, I happened to go into the world of personal development. So it accelerated dramatically once I was 24 or 25 is when I first got introduced to personal development per se. And once I learned the dynamic of it, once I tested some of the ideas, I was like, this is what we should have been educated on, because this is probably the ultimate education that usually people take in their 50s and 60s. Like usually, I'm talking about general, that's when people wake up to going, oh crap, this works. I should meditate and I should, manifestation is a thing. Energy work is a thing. Like those are things people ask much later. Yeah.
That's the midlife crisis. You're like, I've tried everything else and why isn't it working? Yes.
And you wake up suddenly, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to wait that long.
Right.
You can wake up at 30. You can wake up at 25 if you want. And you can wake up at 70. That's okay too. And there's no judgment here. But know that until you wake up, you won't be able to change.
Yeah.
And that wake up is the organization of mind. The wake up is to understand that this moment is the only moment that happens. And there is no past and no future, really. This is the only moment where you make the decision. And from then on, your life just changes.
Would you call it a practice? Because for me, I think it has been. So many things are not, I've made the decision, now it's done, and it's more like an evolving practice. And I think if maybe you've probably had plenty of clients who have experienced legit abuse trauma and, it takes time and we want that quick fix, but it's not as simple sometimes. It's a practice.
It's not simple anytime.
Okay.
It's not simple for anyone.
Good. No, it's not.
And I've met both types of people. I've met people who have had really like situations in life that you would call extremely capital T traumatizing.
Sure.
And they've come out as if nothing happened. And then I have met the people who are still suffering.
Yeah.
And it's neither of them to be blamed. It's more to be wondered what was the difference between the two individuals, and the difference is decision. Is where they say, you know what, I know it was hell, but I'm out of it and I'm going to do something about it. And the other one goes, it was hell. And their decision point stops there. I know I will get so much hate for this.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, I always get it. It's fine.
You do?
I am okay with it. I am comfortable with it because I understand, and I've sat enough with people to know that yes, it is so painful, I can't even imagine. And I can't even think of how hard it must be. And it is not to say or make it any less, but it is that decision point. And that's really what therapy should be. That is what anything is to get you to a place where you can say, I'm willing to let it go now. I can let it go. And no, it's not going to happen just because I said it, but you have to say it before you can do anything about it.
And I think there's a distinction too to be made between the desire and the decision, because there's plenty of people that are like, oh, I want that, but aren't willing to take that extra step.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So there's desire, there's decision, and then there's discipline.
Yeah.
There's all three Ds need to come together.
Right. I mean,
your desire is, most people live in the desire, the first D.
Right.
Right.
And you can sit and listen to all the podcasts in the world and read all the books.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you're taking the action.
Yeah. And then the second is decision. To once your desire is solidified and you say, I am going to, then post that, you have to actually put yourself through that discipline to say, I'm going to go through the ringer every day. Every time it comes up, I'm going to go, no, not choosing this thought. I'm going to choose this other thought. I'm not going to make this decision. I'm going to make that decision. I'm going to do this even if it's hard, it's difficult, it's unreasonable. I'm going to change my reality around me to support this decision that I've made, because this discipline is what creates change. The decision is the first step. Desire is probably the first step, but desire most people would stop at. So decision really is the step which creates movement, but discipline is what actual movement is.
I mean, desire's got to be there, but you got to take that next step. What do you think the basis of the decision is? Do you think it varies from person to person, or do you think that it is self-love, worthiness? Like, what do you think that really stems from?
What, the desire?
The decision.
The decision?
Yeah. Do you think it's like a self-love? It's like a I don't know, maybe just like fed upness. It could be a number of things, and maybe it varies from person to person, but I wonder for you, what was it? And what do you see as a common denominator in people for it?
So I found two ways people really decide. One is through excruciating pain, where it's so hard every day that they say, this is it, I'm done, right? And that unfortunately is more common to see. Yeah. Is people who go through, I think they're called Kensho and Satori moments. I could be wrong about exactly the names of the words, but Kensho moment is a moment.
I'll go with that.
It is, I might be missaying the terms.
That's okay.
Kensho is the term which I think is when you're going through a pain or extreme pain, and that's why you have a moment of awakening. Okay. Because it's like being in so much pain, it shell shocks you, and you wake up. Yeah. Because you're like, I need to get out of this. This is insane, right? So that's a Kensho moment. And a Satori moment is where you one day go, I can do better than this. I am better than this. And so you wake up to it, right? So you could have either of those, and people have it through different channels and pathways. You could be listening to this podcast and you might go, I can do this. And you tomorrow.
Which you can.
Yeah. And tomorrow you start that decision. You make that decision, not tomorrow, like today, right now, you make that decision and you change it. And tomorrow when we meet you, it's already done, right? Or it's in the discipline realm already. And some people will listen to it and nothing will change.
Yeah.
Right. They will absolutely be like, oh, this was a great conversation, great people. I listened to it. It's awesome. Nothing wrong with that either, right? Because many small events in life are recurring in your life right now, energetically and actual practically, right? There's a lot of events that are happening. You're listening to this podcast. Maybe you're doing something when you're listening to this podcast. This thought has now ingrained in your subconscious. I can be different. Oh, there could be a Kensho moment, a Satori moment. There's a thing, right? And now suddenly you go, okay, nothing changes. But let's say another podcast from Amy, they listen 2 weeks from now. And now finally it clicks. And because now finally it clicked, now you start to see the change. It might not even be Amy's podcast, it might be somebody else's podcast. And you are even forgetting that you listened to Amy first, right? But at that point, you have the wake-up call. So you can't design it per se. But if you search for it within you, it's already there. The desire to change is always there, because as human species, that's why, like, think about it. We have changed the world.
Look at all this stuff. Look at this. I mean, what the hell?
Like you're consuming this over online or whatever that is while driving or doing something.
It's nuts.
That's unthinkable a few years ago, right? Just a few years ago, podcasting was a thing, right? And now I think we have like 1 million podcasts globally or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it is crazy how fast we develop because we are desiring species. We desire for more. And because we desire for more, it inherently means all of us have hidden desires. It's more for us to say, am I going to chase it or not?
Yeah.
I'm going to decide to have it or not. And the decision point is you get to that decision point when you need to get to that decision point in your life, or you force it.
Yeah.
And the forcing decision point is right now. Right now you can say, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make that decision and I'm going to follow through with discipline.
Don't wait till New Year's.
Yeah,
Just
you don't.
Let's go ahead.
Absolutely not. Please do not wait for New Year's. New Year's always fails. Like this is an actual study. 70% of your goals will fail if you decide around New Year's because you're doing it because of peer pressure. You're not actually doing it because you want it.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing, whole science behind it too. So if you desire something, today is New Year's.
Today's the day.
Yeah,
this is it. This podcast is sponsored by Wands. Wands creates luxurious pleasure practice tools that help people become more connected to their bodies. They have a huge selection of incredible items like yoni eggs, the most gorgeous crystal pleasure wands you've ever seen, free bleed blankets, and my favorites, the trademarked glass cervix wand and the Venus wand, which is their heaviest wand made of stainless steel, and their new ecstatic vibrator. This company is woman-owned and creates products designed to help you become more connected to your body and your pleasure and support the healing of pelvic pain. Get yours today in their always discreet packaging at wands.com. That's wands with 2 A's, WAANDS.com, and use my link in the show notes to get 10% off or enter the code Amy Edwards at checkout. Again, that's wands, WAANDS.com. The Amy Edwards Show is sponsored in part by Higher Dose. Higher Dose creates wellness tech for everyone with tools, supplements, and body care. And I have 15% off for you with my code MAGIC15. Higher Dose has been featured in Goop, Glamour, Elle, Vogue, Bazaar, Allure, and more. I have their infrared pulsed electromagnetic field, or PEMF mat, which emits electromagnetic waves that mimic natural frequencies found in nature, stimulating and encouraging your body's natural recovery process. It also has 20 pounds of crystals in it and has shown to ease chronic pain, aid in exercise recovery and circulation, deepen your meditations, reduce stress, and improve total body relaxation. I also love their red light face mask. It stimulates collagen, reduces fine lines, regenerates cells, and it's soft and easy to use and store and even travel with. I'm a true fan of these items and more, like their glow serum. So I'm excited to offer you 15% off using my code MAGIC15. Go to the show notes. You can click through on the link right there. Or if you go to Higher Dose, just enter the code MAGIC15 for 15% off. HigherDose.com. This podcast is sponsored by The Collective ATX. If you're looking for the best in hair extensions, it's The Collective ATX. They do mine, and I won't go anywhere else. I've tried them all over the years, and finally, I've found what makes my real hair stronger and fuller, and even works with my natural curl. They keep all their extensions in-house, so there's no wait, and they specialize in no damage to your natural hair like traditional hair extension methods. Plus, they're pros at color and covering gray. I have literally never in my life been happier with my color. They were named a top 200 salon by Salon Today in 2023. They've changed my hair journey. Let them change yours. The Collective ATX. Link is in the show notes. Let's talk for a second. I know you have kids. Mm-hmm. Let's talk for a second about worry. And how do you organize your mind around worry? Because I think that a lot of people can relate to that, And I brought up children because, we do have those come up even more so when we have children. But I personally reorganized myself around age 50. And I thought, I have done this for so long that it's not making me feel good, stress and worry. And I was like, I'm going to choose something different now. And that's taken some real discipline to break those old habits of what I'm used to, worrying. So does it come up for you? And how do you organize your mind around it or advise your clients?
So my safest set of questioning, and it's through questioning that I find to take care of most of our organization of mind, because I'm a coach. So I ask a lot of questions, of course. But what I found is that if you ask yourself, what would it mean for you to stop worrying about whatever blank? Or what would safety mean? Because worry often comes from fear.
Yes.
That there's a fear of something, and that's why you're worrying about it. But what will make you feel safe? So for example, this is very common. When I ask people how much money will make them feel safe? Most people don't have a proper answer for it. Like they would just say $1 million. Like if it is $1 million, you have never thought about it. Like you have just not sat with a piece of paper and said how much what costs.
$565,000. And
Yes, usually it's a very specific number that will give you the life that you would like, including investments, which you would go, I'll feel safe if that happens. Right? It's never a round number. It's a very specific number. And interestingly, it's within a couple of six figures. Like even if you're looking at a very, very nice life, not a super expensive life, but a really nice life, it's a couple of $100,000 and that's it.
Yeah.
And the moment you realize it's only that much money, and for some people who are listening, it might be a lot, but if you really, really think about it, from $1 million dropping to $200,000, it's more achievable. If you're making 80, let's say already. Right?
Yeah.
From 80 to 200, very easy to do. Even 500, much easier to do. But 80 to $1 million, you're like, I have to think of some magic thing or a magic trick. But 80 to $500,000 or 300K, you're like, I can get there in 4 years.
Yeah.
I can work around my career. I can figure out what business to do. Whatever I need to do to be able to double or triple my income, a lot more reasonable. 10 times your income, you're freaking out. You're worrying. Right? So what happens is when we bring attention to what makes you feel safe, what is the number or what is the situation? What is the setup that will make you feel like, oh, I feel safe in this situation. I feel this would complete that or take care of that worry. You'll find those numbers are much easier and you'll get to those numbers much easier. You can draw a path to it. And the moment you put rationale, worry can go away because you have numbers. You have a path.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so it'll take me 3 years to get to the safe number. Now I don't have to worry about the number. I know in 3 years I can get there.
Yeah.
Right? So you're almost making it so real, pragmatic, that the why we worry is because we are in our heads.
Yeah.
That's why we worry. The doom scenario is playing in our head again and again and again.
I think there's a grasping for control involved with worry where you are trying to think through every scenario so you can plan and strategize some imaginary situation, and when we don't have control and it's this like desire to I'm going to control the situation when ultimately you don't have it. So, where's that surrender piece in there for you and that letting go of control?
So I never feel I'm in control of anything.
That's
because
great, 'cause
nobody
really were
really
not.
is.
Yeah.
Nobody really is in any kind of
Congratulations.
control. Yeah, I mean you're not ever in control of anything.
Right.
But the thing that you can do, at least from my point of view, what seems to take care of the worry often is to make a plan to it and just say, this is the plan. I'm going to work towards the plan, and we'll see what happens. Because then I have put some rationale in place, so I don't have to succumb to my mind telling me that it's not going to work out. I can just surrender to, it is going to work out. I have a plan. That's the best I can do. There's nothing more that I can do here. There's another exercise called fear setting. It's the first time, I don't know where it originates from, but I heard it first from a gentleman called Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
He did a TED talk on it. So you could Google it. It's a TED talk called fear setting. It's a very simple exercise. It basically says, write down what's the fear that you have, whatever you're worrying about. Write down what's the worst case scenario. What can you do if the worst case scenario happens? What are the things that you can, how can you prevent the worst case scenario to happen? And once you start to rationalize all these things, again, the doom scenario is not as doom a scenario.
I've
Because
absolutely done that.
You go, okay, I can do this, so this situation never happens, or it happens only 50%. And then suddenly you're like, okay, I can relax into it. It's okay. If it happens, I have a plan. If it really falls apart, this is the plan. And so that rationality of just sitting down with a piece of paper and writing it out, I find most people can take care of most of their worries if they write it out.
I like that. And I've done it. And, I was like, what am I actually scared of? Being homeless. And I was like, am I really going to be homeless? Or, like you start to explore that. Okay, I'm not. And you just have much more of a handle on it. So that seems like organizing your mind.
Yeah. I also go to worst case scenarios. I say, okay, I will be homeless. So
I will be homeless. So then what? I'm
So
like, well,
what?
I have
Yeah.
a friend with a guest house and I bet they'd let me stay,
Yeah, like you come up with something and you're like, the bad is not that bad. I mean,
Right,
you can
exactly.
figure out a path out. It's not like it's an impossible situation.
Right. And people have come out of worse.
Yeah.
I mean, really, truly.
They come out of us every day. Yeah.
It seems like a lot of the organization too, another word for it would be taking just full responsibility in your life. Would you say that's
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that, taking responsibility of your thoughts.
Yeah. I kind of like,
Taking responsibility of your actions.
I kind of like organization though.
Yeah. I like calling it organizing your mind because it is, so the way our minds work, based on our study, is that any given time you have many thoughts of the same situation. You just default to the thought that you've chosen most. So, for example, you always take the same road to the same place. If you go to an office, it's the same path. It doesn't mean that's the only path to go to the office, or that's the only path to go to the office. That's just the path you take because you've taken it every day. So it's like default setup wired together in your mind and your brain.
For sure.
Right? And because of that, you're choosing one thing. But there are 6 or 10 other things that you can choose. Not just one more option. There's 10 other options. Some of them are longer, more scenic. Some of them have more traffic. Some of them have less traffic. Whatever it might be. Some of them lets you enjoy your car. Some of them you're sitting like as if nothing's moving, right? So it depends on what you experience you want.
Yeah.
And that's why I say at any given time you have to organize and decide, which path am I taking? I have so many options, and that's it gets more and more confusing as days and technology provides more, of course. And so the paths get more complicated, right? Because it's more options every day.
Well, I know that our neural pathways can get worn into a groove where we literally can't get out of choosing what we've chosen so many times before. How do you recommend people break that? I know personally I've used some psychedelics and done work around that, breaking those neural pathways. And it constantly surprised me how they would change. And new paths, like you're talking about, would be so much easier to choose. And I would have new thoughts and I would think, that's a totally normal thought. Well, why have I never thought it before in relation to whatever situation? And so what do you recommend people when they're like, I can't seem to break this, or I'm having trouble breaking this? Of course, I don't even like saying that because I'm weird about words, but so what exercises do they do to maybe change those neural pathways or get out of what they've been doing?
And there are many. Well, first of all, it's not that you or anyone is finding it hard to change the pathway. The pathway that you have has a sense of safety, even if it sounds abusive. Sometimes that's why people can't get out of abusive relationships, is because there's a sense of safety that of course, doesn't make sense from the outside in, but to the person's brain, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not hard to change. It's hard to lose that safety, whatever that safety pattern is. It's actually really easy to change once you are aware that that's a safety pattern that I have. And that's once the awareness comes, you change the path. The challenge is the awareness, right? See, awareness happens because of listening to conversations like this. Sometimes you go, okay, where is it that I'm not really progressing in life? And that's really the question to ask yourself at any given time. What is the outcome that I want in life? Say you want a really romantic relationship and currently you don't have one. It's like, ask yourself, what is it that I really want? What does a romantic relationship look like? And let's write it out. And once you're aware of that romantic relationship's description, discuss it with the person that you are with. And if they can't provide it, you know you have to change something. Either you have to change or they have to change or you together have to change. But something has to change if you desire for something. But you have to first be aware of what you want. Just changing something is not important. Changing in context of where you're going is what's important, right? So firstly, awareness is the greatest path. And whatever brings awareness to you is the first step, I would say. It could be a simple exercise like making your goals.
Yeah.
Like actually knowing what you want in your life. Like actually
Agreed.
writing it out. It's like, this is what I want. This is how I want to be with my kids. Here is how much money I want to make. Here is what kind of life I want to live. Here's how my relationship looks like. Here is how my friendships look like. Not just being stuck with money, which is what most people do. It's like, this is how much money I want to make. And then they stop. No. Your life is a more complete spectrum of things. And if you want more money, you need to have a great relationship.
What about that focus on what you don't want? What do you tell people? Because
if you don't want, don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Things will automatically disappear from your life if you don't put attention to it.
Agreed.
Attention sets your direction. Intention sets your attention. Attention sets your direction. If you don't put any intention or any attention to things that you don't want, it will not have any direction. It'll disappear from your life very quickly. Right? But you have to stop asking why I don't have it. Ask why you do have it. Mm-hmm. That's a more open-ended question. It allows for universe to give you the tools or beingness that you need to have something. It's equally to do with skills, but it's more to do with how and who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. And that allows for creation, right? So firstly, I would say bring awareness to where do you want to go? And what does that look like? Like have a definition of it, of creation of what you're creating. Find the identity that you need to live for that to be true.
Totally.
Right? So if you want a relationship that's loving, how are you being loving? If you want to be very abundant and want to make millions of dollars, how are you worthy of making millions of dollars?
How are you showing up?
Not your self-worth, but worthy of.
Yeah.
Right? Self-worth is a different thing, and being worthy of is a different thing, right? Worthy of is related to your skill levels and your capabilities to create value. Self-worth, you're always worthy in the context of self-worth. There's nothing nothing that needs to be done or changed. Right. So
I like that. I like that distinction. Yeah.
Your self-worth is always complete. You're always 100%. You don't need to change anything. You're fully worthy right now. But to get abundance to a particular level, or relationship to a particular level, you need to bring value.
Yeah.
And that value is also worth something. That's the value you create in the outside world, or your worth in the outside world. In your inner world, you're fully worthy. In the outer world, you have to be worthy. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
It does to me. I mean, I've done that exact thing where I've made the list of like the goal, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Let's take a relationship. And I was like, this is my dream partner and relationship. And then I was like, ooh, that's somebody badass that has that. So then I wrote a new list. This is that person. And so I just worked to embody her. And then things start to unfold and blossom.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's true. So that's one of the best ways to rechange your path without any support. But then you can also take support. You can take support of psychedelics. Absolutely. You can take support of deep meditations. So more psychedelic-like meditations.
I've done it all.
By you, I mean anybody that's listening,
yes.
of course. That's another path. You could do deep, more psychedelic meditations instead of just the calming meditations.
Yeah.
Do the one that take you on a journey with using some breath work and so on and so forth. That's another great way to reaffirm or refine your pathway, or at least open up your mind a little bit, different possibilities. The simplest thing that you can do is become an abundant learner. Mm-hmm. Read books, listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
And do it all the time. There is no reason for you to stop. I would say if any topic is interesting or any topic that you're struggling with, read many, many books on it. Mm-hmm. And you will find your answer, because at this point, we've probably over-researched everything. And what we need to do is simplify it. that's the challenge right now. I think in our society is we have complicated it so much because we research so hard. Is that it's sometimes better to just go back to basics.
Oh,
Just to say,
thank
you know
God,
what,
because that's all I want.
let's not drive ourselves nuts on here's another research
Right.
on something.
Right.
Like not needed. Just go back to basics. What is it that your body wants? What is it that a relationship is? What money really is created? How is that created? The more simple, more basic, it's easier for your mind to understand and it's easier for you to embody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy for you to embody. You can actually move towards it.
What are you reading right now?
Right now, what am I reading right now? I am reading this book called Hope for Cynics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just started.
Are you
so
a
don't ask
cynic?
me
You
to-
don't seem cynical.
No, but I read like crazy. I read like 50 books a year. So I read variety. So it challenges my mind not to be stuck in like one world.
Mm-hmm.
So Hope for Cynics is a book about people, because there's a lot of people who go, world is ending.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
everything is bad.
This is probably good for you as a coach, right? Because you're able to open
and
up to
I
that
meet
perspective.
such people all the time,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, but everything's so bad. Like this is happening and that is happening, and it's like economy is bad.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a good context book for it. It has a lot of study around it. It has a lot of study which also advocates for people who are not cynics but skeptical. It actually, there's a great line in the book that I know, again, people won't necessarily agree with all the time, but it says something to the line of that if you challenge any of your story or be skeptic about the story that you have, you won't have the story.
Oh, wait, say that again.
If you are skeptical about the story that you have,
Yeah.
you won't have the story.
Well, it takes away the truth of the story for sure, right?
No, it changes because there is no truth of a story.
That's right.
If you really think about it, what is the truth of the story? There's
Yes.
your truth and their truth,
Yes.
but there's no the truth.
No, there's not.
Right? The truth is depending on who's telling the story, right? It can always be a different story, right? Like, for example, this is a funny example from India, the country I come from, is for the longest time when we were growing up, it was told to us Mahatma Gandhi or Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was a freedom fighter. You must have heard the name called Gandhi, and he's the one who got India freedom, right? That was the truth. That was the truth all my childhood. And we could never make sense of it. We were like, he would do peaceful protests to, at that time, not now the British people are nice, but at that time, it was like they were the kingdom. Like they would kill people. If you protest, I'll shoot at you. That was their story, right? So we were like, there's no way that guy got freedom. As kids, we would challenge it, but we were like, okay, if everybody's telling us, it must be the truth. Now, as we grew up and we started reading different books, we realized, oh no, it happened because World War II had just ended. Britain was broke. It couldn't manage its colonies. That's why they were releasing every colony. There was not India-specific Mahatma Gandhi doing some magic. It was because there were a lot more other types of freedom fighters who were fighting like with guns and violence. And at the same point in time, they couldn't afford it. And now all this military troops that they're taken from India to Britain were going to come back. So they all knew and had war training. So they had much more artillery and much more capacity to fight. So Britain had no chance to restore what India was at that time or any of its colonies, which is why around post-World War II, pretty much all colonies got free in the next 20 years, right? 20, 25 years, whatever the time frame was, because they couldn't hold on to it anymore. And they had already stolen what they needed to steal. And so what's the truth? It depends on who's telling the story, right?
Yeah.
The current Indian government tells the story. It wasn't Mahatma Gandhi. It was all these other factors. The previous governments were like, it was all Mahatma Gandhi. And he was the reason why we have freedom. What is the truth? Depends on the book you read.
Yeah, it depends on the motivation of the teller.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there is no absolute truth. There is a truth, depending on the perspective and the time that you live in.
For sure. Yes, agreed. All right. So we are getting close to time. And I want to ask you, I just want to turn it over to you. What did we miss? Or what do you really want to address today before we go?
In the context of our conversation, some of these ideas I'll allow you or ask you to really think about. Because I think one of the things that we unfortunately has happened because of all the tools that we have in our lives is that we have no alone time, really. We don't sit with ourselves and really ponder on what is it that I really want? What is it that I desire? Or what is it that I want to create? It's a reaction to the world's information to us. It's like, let me see. That person has that, so I should create it, right? Instead of that, I really invite everybody to listen to this podcast maybe again, and then just sit with it. Like take a journal and just sit with it and see if there is any truth to anything that you found. truth for you, not truth for me, not truth for Amy, truth for you, because your truth is different than mine. And write it for yourself and go, hey, listen, this is what's really present to me. This is what I hear. This is what I understand out of this. So you can make a new pattern for yourself and really start to wonder on what you want to create in life. So my invitation for anybody that's listening is don't just listen to the podcast. Actually take that information and see if you can make some use of it in your life.
I think that's what's so beautiful about reading too. It slows you down enough to maybe reflect a little bit more rather than what's next.
Yeah.
Because so many times, even with podcasts or whatever, what's next for me to listen to or turn on or fill my, information with, So yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to just slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Do you make time for that every single day?
Yes, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that look like for you?
30 minutes to an hour every day. Yeah. During the day, because when I'm in the morning and the evening, I'm with my kids and my family. So I don't do that. I do it with my kids, but those are kids' books. I read to them. My kids are really small. So yeah. But they like reading because I read with them.
Yeah.
So because I know how valuable it is to me, and I learned very late in life, so I'm catching up.
That's so beautiful and passing it along. So, well, if anybody wants to work with you or with Mindvalley Coaching or in the Dharma Institute or anything, how can everybody find you?
So the best way to find me is on Instagram, Real Coach Ajit, or you can follow at Mindvalley Coach. That is mindvalley.coach. And that's the place where you can find all the information of different certifications and programs that we do. We take immersive trainings around organizing your mind, presence, bioengineering, and connectedness, which is our whole system of being able to redesign your life and becoming a life coach in the process. So that would be a good place to go check out all the details. That will be it.
Beautiful. Do you have a new book that you're working on, or?
I'm not working on a book, but I'm giving away a book. If anybody who's an entrepreneur wants to be an entrepreneur, you can go to downloadlivebig.com.
Live Big. I like that title.
Yeah. So I'm giving that book away for free. If you want it, just go there, put in your name and email address, and we'll send you an e-copy or a PDF version of it. Yeah.
Great. I'll put all that in the show notes and make sure it's there. And I just want to say a huge thank you to you for showing up and organizing your mind today, because I love that. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you shared. And thank you to you for being here today, because when you turn up, it's that desire, right? It's that decision to even choose this over, true crime. I listen to a lot of true crime, but this is important too. So yeah, it's these choices that we make that are how we show up in the world. And that's where our change just keeps going. And maybe something clicks today, maybe something clicks next week, next year, it doesn't matter. Have compassion for yourself of where you are right now and keep showing up, because you just never know. You just never know what you're learning right now that's going to ripple out in ways that we can't ever predict. So I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for listening to this. Take Ajit's advice and listen to it again, and then take that time to reflect. How beautiful is that? Thank you so much. Of course, rate, review, subscribe, all those things. Thank you again. Keep shining. Till next time. Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, and follow us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Keep shining bright.